All right, so welcome to the part 2 of the employment income. And here we are just going to run through the questions, the past questions. All right, so let's start with the past questions. All right, so here, what do you see? This is the question we did during the part 1, so I'm going to skip that. We actually went through this. All right, this same question came. All right, so you run through this, you have your 5 marks. So that is that. So let's look at the C part of the question. The C part of the question is saying, Lord, Parkrow was seconded to Ghana from Crop Scientific Institute in US as a crop scientist for Crop Research Institute in Ghana. Now, for a period of 5 months, starting from 1st August 2018. And he was based in Nyankpala in the northern part of Ghana, one of the farming sites, all right, as a crop research institute of the crop research institute. Now, these were the conditions. The salary is 6,000 per month. How many months did he spend? So you have to be careful about that. Expatriate allowance is given, risk allowance is given. He was provided with furnished bungalow and a Toyota pickup vehicle with driver and fuel for both official and private activities. All right. Then it says that in addition to the above, the parent company agreed to meet his commitment at home during his 6-month stay at $1,200 per month, where the exchange rate is what 1 cedi, 5 cedis is to $1. So we have to convert. And it says that we should determine is what chargeable income. Chargeable income. All right. So what is the chargeable income? How do you go around this? So like I told you, you will do Lord Parkrow or Parkrow, and you are asked to do, so you do computation of chargeable income. All right. And you are also asked to compute his tax liability. Okay. Tax liability. So chargeable income for the year and tax liability. All right. So we have the assessable year of assessment. Which year is that? During his stay in the country. Which year is that? We are looking at, we are not actually giving the year here. We are not giving the year in any part of the question. So, is it a continuation? Okay, so let's assume it's 2019 because I'm not seeing. Oh, it's actually, he started here, starting from August. Okay. If he started in August, then definitely we might, so August, September, October, November, and probably December. All right, so probably that. So year of assessment might be 2018. Question didn't actually state that. Wow. Okay. That's interesting from the part of ICU. Then the basis period, therefore, if that is the case, we are looking at, he stayed here just for 5 months. And so we will have to bring in the concept of resident and the concept of non-resident inside a question like this. Okay. So you ask yourself, is Paco a resident? All right. So what do we have there? It will be 0101 2018 to 31st December 2018. All right. Then you underline. You bring in your figures, your Ghana cedis. All right. So that is that. Now, we start with basic salary. All right. What is the basic salary of the person? We are told that it's 6,000 per month. And how much did he stay here? 5 months, right? So we have to multiply by 5, and that is 30,000. He has some allowances. So let's add the allowances or the benefits. So the allowances, we are told that he has what? Expatriate allowance. And that is 2,000 per month. So that is 10,000. He has some risk allowance. And that one too is how much? It is 1,000 per month. So we do by 5, we have 5,000. All right. So that is what we have. And we are also told that there is another commitment. In addition to this, they agreed to pay his home commitment. So that one is home commitment. For being outside the US. That one is $1,002 multiplied by the exchange rate. If $1 is equal to 5, then 1,002 will be more. If more, let's divide. So then multiply by 5 months, because they said per month that he was out. All right. So if you multiply that one, so that is 1,002 by 5. That gives me 30,000. All right. So in total, his emolument is how much? The total cash emolument that he's been receiving. 30 is like 60. Then 15, that is 75. All right. So basically, that is that. Now, he also has some allowances. Don't forget. Some allowances. We are told that he received vehicle accommodation elements, and also he received the vehicle. The vehicle is the ones that has the restrictions on. All right. So please be mindful of that. Vehicle has some restrictions on them, but he said that he was provided with a bungalow and a Toyota vehicle with a driver, all right, for both official and private purposes. So he was provided with a furnished bungalow. So that furnished bungalow is kind of an allowance that he is getting, unless the bungalow was given to him at site. All right. If it is at site, then that is it. All right. So he said that he was based in Yankpala, one of the farming sites. All right. That is where he is based. So it means that this accommodation element is excluded. At site, so it won't be taxed. That money that you get won't be taxed, so no tax, exempt from tax. So you need to be very, very careful when you are reading the question. Then the vehicle one, what did we say? Vehicle driver fuel is 12.5 of the total cash emolument, 12.5. And this is the total cash emolument, so 75,000. So 0.125 by 75,000. Please, as for this thing, you have to memorize it. All right, this driver, food, all those things. Accommodation aside, only accommodation, and it was furnished, would have been how many percentage? It's 10%, right, of the 75. So he would have had 7,500. But since it is aside, that one is exempt from tax. All right, so learn those principles we learned in the part 1. All right, so this one is giving me 9,375. But don't forget, with this one, there are restrictions. This is paper in 2022 or 2018. 2018, what is the restriction? Okay, remember, even in what we were doing currently, we said that from 2023, that thing had changed to how much? 1,005. But as at it was in what do we call it? Before 2023 March, it is 600. Do you remember? Yes, 600. So restriction is 600 per month. 600 per month. So if it is 600 per month, he was giving this for the 5 months. If you multiply the 600 per 5 months, how much are we getting? That is 3,000. So if you compare this, he said that you have to pick the lower. So that tells you that the part that we are going to add to this will be the 3,000. It can't exceed it. So that tells us that his chargeable income, or his assessable income, sorry, unless there is we don't see any relief in this question. So that means that it will be equal to his chargeable income. We are not told of anything. This is a secondment, all right? So that means his tax is 78,000. All right. Now, you could see that in terms of our calculation, we could see that this guy, per residency rule, all right, is not a resident in Ghana. So you have to understand that bit. Check always in the question whether the person is resident or is not resident in Ghana. How do we know residency? That is section 101. All right, section 101. And this is much dealt with in the business income tax. All right, so take note of that. But understand that for a person to be resident in Ghana, then it means that he has to be a citizen of Ghana who does not have any permanent home outside. All right, so it says that the section 101 says that a resident person includes what? A citizen, other than someone who has a permanent home outside Ghana and has lived in that permanent home for the whole of the year. Then number 2 talks about the fact that anybody who has been resident in Ghana for an aggregate period of 183 days in a basis period that begins or ends in the year of assessment. Okay, so that is that. It also talks about the fact that if you are a government officer who has been posted outside Ghana, you are also a resident in Ghana. All right, so these are residents. So since this guy just stayed for 5 months, he's not a resident, and therefore the tax rate applicable for a non-resident is what? 25%. So it will be 25% of this figure, 0.25 multiplied by 78,000. All right, so these are additional things that you are learning as part of video 1. So if he is a resident, we will use the graduated tax system. Since he's a non-resident, there's a flat rate of what? 25. All right, so basically that is that. All right, that is that. It's a secondment, and that is it. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've started learning something in the computation. All right, so bear that thing in mind. The D part is talking about vehicle income tax. Talking about vehicle income tax. Now, it says that in 2003, the vehicle income tax tickets was introduced by way of the LI 1727 and amended in the 2016. Identify key features of the VIT. All right. Now, the key features are that the VIT became mandatory for all commercial road vehicles. So it is mandatory, all right? And the sticker is purchased each quarter in advance. So you have to purchase the sticker each quarter. And you have to display that sticker on your windscreen, all right? For all commercial vehicles, it has to be done, all right? So that is that. And I mean, that sticker, the police will check it, all right? It's supposed to be enforced by the police, monitored by the GRA, okay? And again, every taxpayer is supposed to file their tax at the end of each year, all right? So that is that for the VIT sticker, all right, that are paid on account. That is that. All right, so those are for commercial workers, and that is how it's supposed to be. All right. Now, it talks about, this question 2 talks about what are the characteristics of contract of service? This is employment. We said that. We said that. So go back to your notes and get those ones. I mean, the fact that they give you a KPI, delegation is restricted, The tools are provided by the employer. The employer can sack you and all those things. I mean, it's like working for somebody. What are the characteristics of working for somebody? That's it. Under employment. Oh. All right, then we have what are the tax rules for overtime payment and bonus payment? I think you should remember that. You should remember this. We said in overtime, first of all, the person has to be a junior staff by designation and by what? His annual basic salary not exceeding 18,000 Ghana cedis. That's 18,000 points. All right. Now, that is that. You will state that one. Then you will come back and say that if he qualifies, then what are you going to do? Yes, you do 50% of the monthly basic. Then compare the overtime to the 50% of the monthly basic that you have done. All right. Now, if it is below, you tax at what? 5%. If it is above, up to the 50% is taxed at 5%. Then the excess is taxed at what? 10%. So we did that. And the bonus to what do? If you remember, you do 15% of the annual basic salary of the person. Then you compare the bonus he earned to that. So if the bonus he earns is more than 15% of the annual basic salary, what did you do? You tax at you tax up to the 15% at 5%, and the excess is added to the consolidated income, total cash emolument. That is that. If it's below, you just tax it at 5% final. I mean, it's as cool as that. All right. So that is that. Now we come to question 3 here, which talks about Ejewa Grace is 56. Is a foreign language teacher in Mountain Top School, a private boarding school in Koforidua. Ejewa has been teaching, been in the teaching profession for 30 years. That is what you see there. On January 2020, the school promoted Ejewa to head of language department, which is a management position. She could also subcontract to other schools, institutions, and foreign language associations to assist the teachers and the candidates during her free time. Ejewa also holds a contract with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration as interpreter on consultancy service basis. On 5th January, Ejewa entered into the consultancy agreement with the Ministry of Education to translate local textbooks. And it goes on to say that the project is for 3 years, all right, ending in 31st December 2022. Okay. Now, the payment is only effected on completion on the translation, and it's agreed that the amount will be 30,000 per translated book. Details of Ejewa's income as at 31st December 2020 are as follows. It's employment income and benefit. Ejewa received gross monthly salary of 4,000. Annual bonus is what? 12,000. It's payable in December. Responsibility allowance per annum is 6,960. Ejewa makes use of a fully furnished house in the school staff residential area. So when it is like this, you have to be very, very careful. You have to be very, very careful. All right. Ejewa makes use of fully furnished. You see, the first example we did was farming, but this is not farming. Those ones are cited for farming, timber, construction, petroleum, mining. This schoolhouse is not part of it. All right, so be careful. It means we are going to calculate it, even though it's at site. We are going to calculate it. Upon Ejewa's appointment as a language department head, the school provided a new motor vehicle with fuel and for her official use. All right. And so here too, he has vehicle, fuel. All right. So that is that. That is that. That is that. Does she have a driver with a new motor vehicle with fuel for her official use? There is no driver. All right. Ejewa contributes 2.5 to her monthly 2.5% of her monthly salary to a registered pension fund. Okay, the school contributes 2.5 to a provident on her behalf. The school deducts her statutory social security contribution at source Ejewa received 12,000 inconvenient allowance from the mountaintop school during the year. Then the school deduct the following amount on monthly basis from Ejewa's salary upon her instruction and pays appropriate amount to institutions concerned. Subscription to National Association of Teachers, 15. Life insurance policy, 50. Other employment. Okay. So from the other non-employment income, Ejewa successfully translated 4. I think there is an amount for each. So we will have to go and multiply that. All right. For the year during 2020, Ejewa bank account was credited with a total of 15,000, which represents a rental income collected by an estate agent regarding residential property owned by Ejewa. Ejewa is collecting money in Kumasi. Ejewa, what a question for 20 marks. Ejewa services amounted to a gross of 30,000 for a subcontract work with other schools and foreign language associations. Ejewa paid Mountain Top School 10% of this amount under the terms of the standing arrangement with the use of the school's resources. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Regional Integration paid Ejewa 9,250 net. So we need to do the gross in these cases. All right, we will have to do gross in these cases because this is kind of an extra income as an interpreter. Calculate Ejewa's taxable income for the year 2020 year of assessment and explain 4 possible individual gains and profits from employment for a year of assessment. Okay, so that is what we do. So here, what do we do? Ejewa Grace. Ejewa is earning money. Computation of taxable income. All right. For year of assessment is 2020, which means that the basis period is 01/01/2020 to 31st December 2020. All right, you nicely underline this thing to bring out your currencies. So there's no need to put 00 there. I think the figures are short. Interesting. All right. So what is Ejewa's salary? Try as much as possible to get most of the ticks. All right. So try as much as possible. So this one, that is the gross salary, which you can also communicate as the basic salary, is what? 4,000 per month, so 12 months. Okay, so that is that. Okay, don't forget that you are always doing this thing unless you are short-handed with the month in the question. You are always doing this thing for the year. So if you multiply, that gives me 48,000. Then, is there any allowances? Yeah, responsibility allowance. All right, according to this one, the responsibility allowance is given. We have 6,960. So we have that. She also has what? She has a furnished this thing. So that one we will actually do the benefit in kind aspect of that. Okay, so that is that. What else? Ejewa is appointed. I saw some other allowances. So it means that when you are solving the question, you need to underline certain things. Okay, you need to really underline certain things in the question. All right. So Ejewa received a total of inconvenient allowances from the school. So inconvenient allowances. So make sure that you underline those things that you use. All right. So that is 12,000. So we have that. Now, we are told that bonus. So let's go and check the bonus. Would there be excess bonus? Would there be excess bonus? The bonus is 12,000. So let's check the bonus. So if this is annual, 15% of that is how much? So let's just do some working somewhere. So you will do 15% of 48,000. 50.15 by 48,000. That gives me 7,200. It means that the bonus that is paid, what we will do, you will do 7,200 multiplied by 5% for the final one. So by 0.05. That means you pay 360 bonus on the bonus. That is a final tax. All right, so you keep that. Okay, that is taxed. Then there is an excess. He's paid 12,000. So what is the 12,000? The excess of the 12,000 and the 7,200 is 4,800. So you have to do, so if this is my workings one, I will say excess is what? 12,000. 12,000 minus 7,200, it gives me 4,800. So this is workings one. So I'll reference my examiner to the bonus, excess bonus, to workings one, and I will add the 4,800. So you have to be very, very careful about that. All right, then we are told that Ejewa contributes 2.5 of my monthly salary to a registered pension. The school also contributes 2.5 for her. So if the school contributes 2.5 for her, the part that the school contributes is a benefit. So 2.5. So it's like a provident thing sort of. So that is 2.5. Okay, multiply by 4,000, 48,000. So that is that. So 0.025 multiplied by 48,000. That gives me 1,002. Which means the fact that he's paying this, there's the 13% too. All right. Don't forget, those are compulsory things. The 13% is compulsory. So far as she's a staff, that one too has to be paid by law, mandatory. So you don't wait for the question to tell you. All right. So 0.13 multiplied by 48,000. And that is 6,240. All right. Is there any other cash benefit that she is receiving? It started here. This non-cash. This one, we don't have anything told yet. We've done this one. The school deducts social security at source. So that tells you that we've done the 13 part of it. You will receive 12,000 inconvenience. We've done that. This is standing order she has placed. All right. So that one. Then non-employment. So it means we've already have the employment. So we can total, right? So what is the total? If I add 4,000, what do you have? 6,960 plus 12,000 plus 4,800 plus 1,200 plus 6,240. That gives me 31,200. So that is that. So I have my total cash emolument of, if I add this, 297. All right. So that is that. I have my cash emolument, all the cash things. Then the benefits in kind, we had accommodation and we had vehicle, right? What did they say about the accommodation? is provided. I saw a bungalow. Some appointment on language is provided a motor vehicle with fuel for his use. Where is the bungalow? All right, so it makes a fully furnished bungalow. Fully furnished bungalow, what is the rate? Your guess is as good as mine. It's 10% of the total cash emolument. So you see, in these exams, you have to be very, very careful, because if you get this thing wrong, everything you'll be doing as well will be wrong. All right, so be very, very careful. So this one gives me what? It gives me 79.20. All right, 79.20. But the question said that in as much as they give her the bungalow, she pays 100. So they deduct 100. So the part that she pays, so you less it 100 per month. All right. So you multiply it by 12. So that part is not a benefit to him, to her. So the part that is really a benefit to her is what you need. And if I deduct this, what do I have? I have 6720. All right. So take note of that. Then the vehicle. Vehicle. How do we do the vehicle? The vehicle was he given a driver? If she had all of them, it's 12.5. Now we are told that she just has two. All right, she just has two. So motor vehicle with fuel. So two is 10% of the total cash emolument, which is 79,200. But this, which year are we doing this thing for? Is 2020, and as at then it was 500, sorry, for the two per month. So what do we do? If we multiply 500 by 12, that gives me 6,000, which means that I have to pick the lower. So it means I have to pick this one. So it's the 6,000 that I will add here. All right, so that is that. So from this employment, this is what I will get. So if I add all the income from her employment, if I add, so I had plus 600 plus 6720 plus 79,200. That is giving me 91,920. So that is what I have. So that is the income. But there are other incomes. Other income she earned. We bring them all to play. So here, be careful. There is also utility. So let's say she has a cook. All right. And the cook, if the entity pays the cook, she is benefiting from the cook. So the cook money will be part of his benefit in kind. Now, if she has a garden boy, that one, it depends on whether the house, the garden boy is in, or the house he's living is for the entity or for himself. If it is for the entity, then it means the garden boy is doing the work for the entity. So the garden boy must be paid by the entity. However, if the entity passes the garden boy salary through the employee, then that one, it is taxable in the hands of the employee. So it will be part of the benefit in kind. All right. So that is that. All right. Okay. So the other income she earns, which one are we tackling first? We were told that she'll be translating some books, and each book she translates is 30,000. And at the end here, we were told the number of books she translated within that year. She translated 4. So it means that books translation, she translated 4, and each one is 30,000. Joa is taking money. So that is that. We will add it. Again, she also did some other works. We were told that she was an interpreter, and she also did some school services. All right. Now, the school service, how much was she paid for that? So where is that? this starts from here. It says that she also has rent income. This is an investment income. This is not an income from her employment. So we will check on that. All right. We will check on that for a while, because this money she will pay a withholding tax on that. Okay, the money that will be coming, rental income. That one, what you can say is that from the note I, so you will do another workings. Where is our first working? Note 2. Her rental income, you remember the withholding tax thing we did. Rent income suffers what? A withholding tax of 8%. So that one will be taxed at 8%. So where is that? It's an investment income. How much rent? 15,000. So she will pay a tax on 0.8 on the rent of 15,000. That is 1,002. Okay, so that is that. So basically, that is that. So that is the rent. Okay, so that one will be taxed at 8%. So that is fine. And it is a final tax, so we won't bring it in here. All right. Then what next? Ejiwa service. Ejiwa's, we are told that Ejiwa's service amount to gross amount of 30,000 for her contract with the school and the foreign language translation. And it says that Ejiwa paid Mountaintop. Okay, so what it means is that Ejiwa paid Mountaintop some of the money. So here is the gross. Okay, so what is going to happen is that the services to Mountaintop. She earned how much? She earned 30,000 gross, but she paid 10%, so less the 10% of the 30,000, which is 3,000. She paid it back for using the school's resources. So it means that the benefit she actually derived from that is 27,000. And what else? The foreign minister also paid her a net of 9,200. So the ministry, and here it is net. So you have to be very, very careful. We need the gross like we did this one. How do we get gross? So we have 9250, and you have to be very, very careful with that. So what is the rate for you to use to gross up? It's a service she went to conduct. All right. So normally, what is the percentage on that? So where is it? The ministry paid net after her service as an interpreter. Okay. So normally, withholding tax on service is how much? Is 7.5. Is that not it? 7.5. So we are going to gross this thing up. So how do you gross it up? You do 100 minus 100. This is standing for 100% minus 7.5%. All right. In other cases, it is 10%. So you learn from your withholding tax lecture. Some of them are 10%. So it was a part-time tuition is 10%, invigilation, and all those things. Those things are there. So if you gross this thing up, how much is the gross amount? The gross amount I am having is 10,000 here. That is the 10,000. She didn't pay any tax out of it, so it is the 10,000 that you will add here. So just be very, very careful about these things. Be very, very careful. All right. So now, what will we have is total accessible income. Total accessible income. So make sure you have utilized every item. All right, the tax perspective on every item. So if you add all these things up, I'm having 248,920. All right. If I add everything up, that is that. Let's AJOS relief. The relief, you have to be fast and deduct the employer and the employee's SSF. So the employer one, we just use the employer one to determine the total cash emolument, okay? So we have to deduct it out again. That was 6240. 6240. So 6240. And the AJOS own that she pays. All right. She pays. The question said that they do the deduction for her. AJOS could deduct SSF. So this one is the 13%. Then this is the employer. Then we have the employee. She is 59. So the employee is what? 5.5. So when you do 5.5 of the 4,800, 48,000, sorry, what will we get? That is 2640. All right, so that is that. She paid Provident Fund herself. She paid Provident Fund herself. So per the question, we were told that she was paying Provident Fund. I said she will contribute 2.5 of her salary to a registered fund. So her Provident there, tier 3. And it says that the school also contributes 2.5 Provident Fund on her behalf. So it's not like it's not like the school is doing it, I mean, free of charge. It's not like that. It's not like the school is doing it free of charge. So I think that, so here she is paying, okay, so if it is done on her behalf, then let's say the school is doing it free of charge for her, then what is going to happen is that here, what we are going to do is to bring the Provident Fund, her Provident Fund, so Provident Fund, EF, she pays 2.5, all right, of her 48,000. So that is 1,002, like we had up there. So there was one that the employee was doing for her, and there is one now she is doing it herself. Okay, so that is that. The part that the employee is doing for her is we used it up there. Okay, we used it up there. So that is it. But if the employee is doing something, is a benefit, we don't deduct it. All right. So the only part that is deducted is the part that she is doing. All right. So that is that. So unless they took the money from her, account, you won't add that part to her amount. So now we are done. We are done. The question didn't tell us marriage relief, blah, 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 and all those things. So what do? Let's add this thing up. 6240 plus 2640 plus 1,200. That gives me an amount of 10,080. 10,080. So that is what I have here. All right. So that is what I have here. So the Provident Fund, you need to be very, very careful about it. All right. Who is paying the Provident Fund? Okay. So that you know what to do. Okay. So this is a deduction. So we do that and we are done. I think 1,200, sorry, 10,080 minus 248,920. That gives me 238,840. So basically that's that. So we are done with the A part of our question. All right. Then the B part said something. What are some of the things we should you see, this thing is a deduction she is doing. Subscription to the National Association of Teachers. Life insurance policy. All these things are taken off. All right. All these things are taken off. All right. We don't treat these things in our employment income again. Okay. So that is that. Had it been like she's paying this money to contribution to a worthwhile cause, it could be something that we would have taken care of, but these ones are not worthwhile causes. The B part of the question asked us something. It says that explain 4 possible individual gains. Come on, overtime, bonus, wages, and salary. That's section 4. All right. Dental and all those things. Payment of discharge of payment to payment to an associate of yours. They pay your child school fees and all those. So what have you learned? You've learned 2 things from this one. So this is the question that we are coming to as part of our treatment. Explain the principles of resident. So a resident means section 101. All right, section 101. Like I told you, with the principle is that the taxation principle is that if you are a resident, it doesn't matter where you earn your income. We've treated this thing in the tax systems video. It doesn't matter where you earn your income. So if you're a resident, but if you are not a resident, then the income that is taxed in Ghana is the one that you earned in Ghana or the one that is accruing from Ghana. All right, so that is that. So you have to understand it. Explain overtime tax treatment. We've done that. We've gone through that. Compute the overtime tax. I think it's the same question that we did. All right, you can do that. You can go through that. Bonus tax, how you tax bonus. Come on, these things, you can go ahead and do that. All right, then we have another question, a full question here for December 2022. And we have another one, March. You remember, part-time teacher, 10% withholding tax is on account, all right? Part-time employment, the same. Temporary employment, you use the graduated tax system. Casual worker, 5% withholding tax. These things, we've spoken about them. July, this is something we've done already. So you have to be able to go through and do. Remember the exercise that we did in the first example of taxing loan. And it is here for 16 marks. So what are we going to do? We're going to do the December question. It's just a question like what we've just done. But we have to be quick, this one. You have to be quick with it. The December 2022 question. You have to be very quick with that. All right. So let's try that. So we have Abochi. Abochi. All right. Then we have, what is the requirement of the question? Plenty information in there. Computation of chargeable income. That's 20-mark question, full 20-mark question. The year of assessment is 2021. Basis period, therefore, will be what? 1st January 2021 to 31st December 2021. All right, let's go up. So we put our currencies, okay? So let's go up. Have a page for your workings all the time. All the time. So we have been told that her basic salary scale is this. You remember, it started in August. So let's have a page for our workings. So the basic salary. So from August is what? 8, 2019 to July. That's what it will be. 2020 we are doing for 2021, the first pay will be what? 32,000. Then from 2020 to 31st, 2021, that one has to increase by 8,000. So that would be like 40,000. We still don't have the 12 months here. So 2021 to 31st July 2022, we increase it by what? 48,000. And that is the limit. We can't exceed it. All right. So here, how many months do we have in here? Definitely we have 7 months, right? So 7 out of the 12. Then our remaining 5 months will come from here. So that is that. This one gives me 23,333. Yeah, that's the figure. And this one is giving me 20,000. So in all, it means my basic salary is what? 43,333. So I'll come here. This is my workings 1. And I'll start basic salary and reference the examiner to my workings 1. Basic salary, workings 1. 43,333. All right, 0.33. Yeah, it was 333.33. That kind of thing. All right. So I go on and do my cash allowances. We have responsibility allowance. It's 18% of this 43,333.3. Okay. So let's do that. 43,333.33 divided by 0.18. That gives me a rounded figure of 7,800. Then utility. So like I said, if you get this thing wrong, that one too is 10% of 43,333.33. So 10% will be what? 4,333. Okay, so can add the 0.33. Or you can round it. Whatever you do, let the examiner know. All right. Then you go down. Risk allowance too is 20%. Wow. So imagine you get your basic salary wrong. All right, it's 43. So that one will be a multiplication by 2 of this, right? If I'm to multiply, it's like 8666.66. If you round that one up, it will be 67 because 6666. So I think we can manage that to clear off this. Car maintenance allowance. So car maintenance, 5%. The examiner can get so many students to get the basic wrong, and that will be the downfall of many. So this one is like I'm dividing those figures now. So it will be 21,666.67. All right. Then it says that there is leave allowance. All right. So leave. So you just be adding that. That is 1,009 per annum. You have medical allowance. That is 3,500. These are pick and paste. Meals allowance. Hey, some people enjoy 700 per month. So by 12, 700 by 12, that is like 3,500, right? No, it should be more than that. 700 by 12 Gives me 8,400. Wow. Okay, what else do we have? Two house helps. Okay, so like I said, two house helps on wages 500 each per month. The amount is paid to him. So now if the amount is paid to him, then it means that he is the one receiving the amount. In that case, he receives it. We don't know whether he will pay the money to those people or not. So he is receiving it, so it's taxable in his hands. So house help, he's receiving cash for that. So all those things that he receives as cash. But if the people were paying those people directly, like a house help directly, to be a benefit in kind. But this one, he's receiving the money directly. So 500 per month. 500 per month. Okay. They are two. So multiply by two again. Hey, house help here two. By 12 by 2. That is 12,000. 12,000. So she received the money. Bonus, 25% of the basic salary. So let's go and do the bonus. So bonus, he is taking a bonus amount. The bonus amount he is taking is 25% of the 43,333, right? 0.33. So the 43,333.33 multiplied by 0.25. So his bonus amount is like 10,833.33. So what do? We do 15% of the annual amount, right? That is what we do. So 15%. What is the which means that this man is already taking excess of 10%. Is that not it? So if we were supposed to do 15%, 0.15, all right, that should be 6,499,999. So we can round that one up if we want and make it a 6,500. Okay, we can do that. But because if I round the last two, it is going to give me the same thing. 645. No, it's 6,500. If I round it up, 6,500. So that is that. And this, I will tax this. So it means that what he's taking is exceeding the 15%. So I will tax the 6,500 at 5% final tax. So that is that. So 6,500 at a final tax of 0.5. That is 325. So you show the examiner of a final tax. If you don't bring these things, you will lose some marks. So this is a final tax. Then the excess. So we have 10,833.33 minus 6,500. The excess is 4,333.3. So you come and add the excess here. So show the excess, which is 10,833.33 minus 6,500. It gave me 4,333.33. All right. So that is that. So excess bonus. Workings 2. It's a lot, eh? 4,333.33. All right. So that is what we have. The next one is what? Overtime. The annual overtime. So overtime, let's do another workings for overtime. Before we say she qualifies for overtime, we have to find out, all right, the annual basic. The annual basic is already more than the 18,000. So this guy is not a junior staff. So we have to add her overtime. So that one is a quick trade off of the overtime that she is receiving of how much? 18,000. All right. Unaccountable entertainment allowance. Wow. So it's unaccountable. We should have even added that in at the top somewhere. But it doesn't matter anywhere it comes, we've added. Unaccountable. If it was accountable, we wouldn't have added it. Entertainment is what, 2,000 per year. So 2,000. Provision for, okay, so this one is a well finished. Provision for vehicle, okay. Rental package, special retirement package by way of provident fund. This is not a cash emolument, so we will treat that one as indirect. All right. It's part of the cash emolument, but it's an indirect thing they are doing. He is not receiving the money directly. All right. So which one is, we have that Social Security Trust. This is the one she pays. So he said that special package by way of provident fund for which he contributes 9%. So he is contributing the 9% herself. What the company do, that's what? 11%. Wow. Interestingly, that thing is limited to 16.5. But in this question, we are seeing that he's enjoying, he's enjoying like 9%, which is, if we add the two, it's like 20%. He said that the scheme is approved by the regulatory authority. Okay, if they have approved it, then fine. Okay, so that is that. So it means the provident, first of all, the 13% SSF. So you do 13% of the 43, 3, 3, 3. That one is going for her. Then they are also doing the providence for her. All right, so that is that. They are also doing the provident for her. And the provident they are doing for her is 11%. 11%. Okay. So that one gives me 11% multiplying 4 to 3, 3, 3, 3. How much is that? So we are told that this scheme is approved by the regulatory body. So how much is this one? So 11 of, that is giving me 47. So the 11 is giving me 4766.67. Then this one is giving me 5633.33. So now let's combine all and have the total cash emolument. I have a lot to add. Okay, a lot to add, sincerely speaking. So 7,800. The start 44,333.33, 8666.67, 2166.67, 1,009, 35, 84, 12K, 4333.33, 18K, 2K, 5633.33. You see, my calculator just short typed one of them. 5.33. Then I have 4766 and 67. I'm getting some interesting figure here. So that is giving me 110,710. 110,710. That is what I'm getting here. So because this thing is a video thing that I have to do, I have to be very, very careful and retype it again because the figures can mess up. So the total of this I am having at my first computation is what? 110,710. That is my first computation. So I'm going to go over again anyway. You have to always be careful about how these things work. So if I'm going over again, I started with 7,800, then I have 4,333, then I have 8. So that is what I expect you to do in your exams. Just go over again. I have 8,666.67. I have 2,166.67. Then I have 1,900. 3,500. Okay, so even the 3,500, I type 35,000. Imagine 3,500. Then I have 8,400. So if I had not gone over again, 12,000. Then I have 4,333.33. I have 18,000. Then I have 2,000. I have 2,000. Then I have 5,633.33. Then 47. So you see, even my 47 here is just 476. It'll be 4766. All right. So if I check that one, I'm now getting a different answer again of 83,500. 83,500. So you see how these things can be a little bit weird. Yes. So let me keep to the 83,500. Then add to my 43,333 that I have up there. All right, 0.33. That gives me 126,833.33. All right, so that is that. The next thing I need to come to do is to consider the car, and the other things. The accommodation. What do we have inside the accommodation? Accommodation. Is it fully furnished? A well-furnished bungalow. If it is furnished, it's 10% of my 126,833.33. So let me do 10% of that, and I guess it will be what? 126,833.33. So that is what it will be. Now the question said she paid 400, so I need to deduct the 400 she's been paying per month. Okay, 400 by 12 is 4,800. So I need to deduct that. So minus 4,800. Then I know that what I'm putting in there is 7,833.33. All right. Then what about the car? The car element. Vehicle with driver with fuel. Vehicle with driver, fuel. Everything is in there. So it will be 12.5%. 12.5% of 126,833.33. So let's do that. 0.125 by 126,833.33. That gives me 15,854.17. 854.17 rounded. But we know that these things are limited. This is the full thing. So it's limited by 600 cedis by 12. 600 cedis by 12 is 7,200. So which means that I have to choose the lower. So the one that will come here is 7,200. So that is the one that will come. All right. So that is that. Okay. So we've done all these things. I think we are good. Hey, I see a car loan. He's giving a car loan for 20,000 to purchase a car for his mother on simple interest of 15%. The institution similar facility with similar facilities 28%. Bank of Ghana is 15%. So what are we going to do now? Bank of Ghana gives 25%. They are giving 15% below the monetary. So we need to quantify how many months are they giving him the loan for? So 24 months, which means we need to quantify the loan interest. Do you remember how we do the loan quantification? So we do 1/4. We have 25% minus what they are giving, which is 15%, right? Okay. Multiply by the 20,000. Multiply by 2 years. Okay. So how much would that be? So 10. The difference is 10. So 1/4 by 10, 0.10 by 20,000 for the 2 years. That gives me 1,000. Then if it is for 2 years, then 1 year will be what? 500. Is that not it? So this one gives me 1,000. So for the year we are doing, don't forget, we should normally to do it for monthly basis, but this is 1 year. 1 year will be 500. So it means that I need to add only 500 to this year. All right. So that is that. Okay. So let's add everything here. So I have 126, then 78, then 7,200, then 500. That is giving me a total of 142,416.66. Wow. 220 mark question. Now it's time for me to come and list the relief. All the reliefs. All the reliefs. It's time for me to come and do that. So we start with the SSF. He is married to Abochiwa and Abochima. Please, this is interesting. So you can marry 10,000, but the marriage relief is just for we give the marriage. You see, I think our law actually give room for what do we call it? It doesn't give room for, is it polygamy? Yeah, so it doesn't matter. You still have marriage responsibility. So it's just one. So you have only 1,002 for that. Anyway, so let's take the SSFs. The SSFs. First of all, the 13 must go back. The 5%. The 9% he is doing himself. Okay, so that is that. All right, so let's do this. So I have 1, 1, 3, 43, 333 point. I think we've computed it already. Up there, I should just go and pick the figures. 0.33, and this one is 0.055, right? 2383.33. Then the 9%, 0.09 by 43. That one is like 3,900. All right. What about there's another one. What about the 11%? We use the 11% upstairs, but there's something that I want to correct here. Let's go back to our lecture on, let's go back to 100 and the SNIT thing we did. Okay, so let's go back. The taxing on the 11%. Okay, so we had this summary of the tax reliefs. Contribution by the contributor or an employer. So contribution not exceeding 6.5% of the contributor's monthly income made by either the contributor or the contributor's employer, or both are treated as what tax deductible. Okay, so we have to deduct those ones, all right, for tax purposes, both for the contributor and the contributor's employer. All right, so that means that we need to add the 11%, meaning that the first example that we did here, we should go back and add. And so that is, so this one too, there was an additional 2.5. So please make sure you deduct another 1,000 too. All right, so that one will mean that the first one we did is 238,840. All right, minus 1,002. So the final answer here should be 237,640. All right, so that is the final answer. All right, so make that correction. I even have to check if the SNIT video. All right, so 43, 3, 3, 3. And somebody also asked me a question. So what if I earlier said that the SNIT, you have to pay it in 14 days, the ensuing 14 days. I remember in the SNIT video, I made mention of something like that. Yeah, I made mention of something like that. And I think a student asked me, okay, so say, what if I don't pay in Ghana? That is the thing. Everybody wants to see what will happen if I don't do the needful. Everybody wants to see. You can face life imprisonment. So that is that. There is a life imprisonment for you. And there is also an amount of 24,000 that you may have to pay. All right. So please be careful. So you pay a fine. All right. That is like 2,000 penalty unit, and penalty unit in Ghana is 12 cedis. So you can pay 24,000 on your default. All right. That is failing to contribute within a specified period. All right. So that is that. You can pay 24,000. You can also be imprisoned for 2 years, or both of them can happen to you at the same time, imprisonment and the payment. All right. So that is that. So let's continue with this. All right. So what do we have? The 11.11, 43,333.33. That one too is giving me 47. I think we had it up there, 4766.67. All right. Then this question, there was marriage. I remember the marriage was two wives, but like I said, you will get only 1,002. Okay. Yeah. I think we've gone through this already. We are doing December 2020. Here you are. Okay. Uh, Currently, this man is pursuing an MPhil. And so, please, the law says something professional, okay? It says something professional. So, my question to you, therefore, will be that is somebody doing this MPhil course a professional thing that we should consider to grant him the allowance? Yes. So, in that case, you know what to do. You know what to do because and we never said anything academia. The thing said is a professional training vocational. All right. So you have to be very, very careful about how these exams questions go by, the way they go around it. All right. So we said the marriage is there. It says that he's doing an upkeep. He has 6 children too, who are in Silicon Valley, while the rest are working. 6 children, 4 are in Silicon Valley. We know that Silicon Valley is a recognized school in Ghana. So you are going to give him the allowances for the 3. All right, let's give him the allowances for. So that one will be 1,008. Is that not it? Okay, so 1,008 children. So as for the MPhil, nothing. He is also responsible for the upkeep of 4 aged relatives. Okay, we give for only 2. One is 1,000. So 2,000. All right. What else? The director. Okay, so this is he received director's emolument net of tax. He's a director of Adwa Mansa Limited. So he has an additional emolument that he is receiving. So we will add that one to later. Then he also takes a dividend. This one too is net. Okay. So we will see what we will do about those two. Okay. So what do we do now? What we do is that 5,633.33 plus 2,383.33 plus 3,900 plus 4,766.67 plus 1,200 plus 1,008 plus 2,000. That gives me 21. All right. It gives me 21,683.33. So if I now get his employment income, 142,416.66. So that gives me 120,733. His extra income as a director. Okay, so this is a director on a new company, so he'll be a non-executive director. So that thing is also another tax. That one as a director. He's working as a director and is receiving a net amount. Okay, so a net amount, we need the gross. We need the gross to tax. So the director, he will pay a tax of withholding tax of how much? He is a director. A director in another company is 20%, right? That is that 20% withholding tax. So as a director of Adjoa Mansa, he received a direct. Oh, okay, this is an emolument. Emolument. So yeah, if it's it's emolument, if it is a director's fee, what do we do? A director's fee and emolument is the same. So 20%, and this is net. So it means he has already received the 20%, and that thing has been taken out. So it means that we need the gross. And how do we gross these things up? So it will be 2,450, 100 minus 100% minus 20%. So that is a non-executive director thing. All right, so 2,450 divided by 0.80. The gross amount here is 30,562.5. Then the last one, you receive dividends and net of tax, and the dividend is what? Tax at 8. So dividend is final tax. So if it is taxed at 8%, there's nothing we can do by bringing it in here. You can't bring it in here. So that one is a final tax. All right. So how much do we have? Plus 120, 733.33. So in total, this person is having 15.295.83. So that is chargeable income. Wow, this thing was a lot. It was a lot. So guys, go back. And so let me use this opportunity to do this disclaimer to explain things further on Senate. So for what we've learned, we've realized that both the provident, okay, and the employer contribution is an allowable deduction. Take note of that. So far as they are within the range of 16.5%, unless otherwise instructed. So in this question, like I said, I wouldn't have added, but it says that the scheme is approved by the regulatory authority. It's approved, but so because you could see that he is doing 9%. So the only part that should have been allowed is so if the question said doesn't add this part, the only part that you would have been allowed is 16.5 minus the 9. So we would be deducting only 7.5%. But they said this scheme is approved. And since it's approved, we did all of them. So both of them are allowable deductions. But these two also are added up there. All right. They are added up there. Not the one that the employee pay, the one that the employer pay. All right. The employee too will deduct the 5.5 and the part of the provident he pays himself. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much and have a good time.